pleasure to work with the group that you see here in front of you, which is the GCP group, and they are going to present a product and talk about the installation in moisture awareness, which we all deal with on the commercial jobs. And they've got a product called Kovara. It's been around for a little bit. They've made some changes to it. I work with these guys up north as well through New England, and they're a great resource. Who you have in front of you right now is Michaela Clovis, and then you've also got Ken Johnson, and he's down in the Florida market, and Michaela is a little bit further north in that New Jersey area. And then there's also Chris Forgy. He's based out of the Boston location. He's joined us with the call. So with no further ado, we are going to go ahead and have a break in kind of about 15 minutes in or so to do a quick recap. I've seen this presentation. I've seen Michaela, and she does a fantastic job. You guys are going to get a lot of information out of this. And right now, it looks like it's a fairly small group. So please use the chat feature, and we'll do our very best to answer all the questions that you have. And with that said, Michaela, if you're ready, I'll hand it over to you.
Great. Thank you so much. Just want to make sure everybody can see my screen.
Yep.
All right. So thank you, everybody. Welcome. GCP Applied Technologies is presenting to you today. We are based out of Cambridge, Massachusetts. We are a $1 billion company and have many other segments within our portfolio other than flooring. But today we will be presenting Kovara Moisture Mitigation, which is from our Halex division. Just a couple of housekeeping items, if you will, keep yourself muted. And the chat box option is to the right. So if you hit that little chat icon, you can see the chat box. You can ask questions throughout the presentation and somebody will get back to you. We also will be addressing questions at the end of the presentation. And since we have a decent amount of people, you will be able to unmute yourself as well and ask questions that way if you prefer. So without further ado, just introducing ourselves again. Myself, I'm the Northeast sales rep for Halex division. We've got Ken Johnson from the Southeast portion of the company, and he'll be presenting as well. And we've got our awesome technical services rep, David Stoll. He will be presenting as well. So our agenda for today, we went over introductions. We will ask some questions about determining solutions. We'll go over flooring installation challenges and costs involved. We'll also go over features, benefits, and uses of Kovara. We have a installation review video, a time-lapse video of MBX being installed in a retail environment, so we'll show that. And then last, we will go over our AB300, our newest product that we introduced in 2018. So again, we're going over Kovara Moisture Barriers, formerly VersaShield. You may know us by VersaShield. Our slogan is Install Today and Business Tomorrow. Why Kovara and what are the benefits of Kovara? So what we're trying to present and illustrate today is that Kovara is fast and easy to use. We hope that you realize that you'll apply this to your arsenal of moisture mitigation solutions and have this as a go-to. Our product is fast and easy to use. It saves money, labor, and downtime. Our product is dimensionally stable, has exceptional lay flat performance without having to roll the sheet membrane down. And we have 3 products depending on the project that you're working on. So 3 different varieties of product. And we have one that is particularly good for planned flooring removal and designed to be replaced. So no demolition required. We want to be the alternative, the option for you to get on the job quickly and off the job quickly as possible. So we hope that you gather some great information during this presentation. So just a brief product evolution of Kovara VersaShield. We have our entry-level product called VersaShield Kovara 95, which is a floating membrane. And like I said, it's great for planned flooring removal. We'll go into detail a little bit more in the body of this presentation. We also have our MBX product that goes up to 99.5 RH. You can use a box grid system, which requires additional tape and labor versus the floating application. That is actually, you'll be able to see that through an illustration through one of our time-lapse videos. So you'll see that being installed. And then last, we'll go over our fully adhered product, AB300, which was released in 2018. So this reduces cost for the box grid system. It is also resistant to heavy rolling loads, except it fully adheres to the substrate versus just through the tape. So we have over 13 years protecting flooring installations and 70 plus million square feet protected. So we're a reliable, efficient moisture mitigation system. Some questions to consider while listening to the presentation. I want you to think about this as we go through, or even now you can answer this in the chat box if you feel the need. How does performance and potential failure impact how you select a moisture solution? How does time affect the moisture solution selected for the job? Do you have to be in and out? Is there a potential for loss of money? If they've closed down, you think of a hospital, you think of a retail environment. And then how important is technical support and job start visits? What's great about the Halex division GCP is that we do have an excellent educated technical team. David Stoll is on this call today. You can call and reach out anytime you have any questions. And we also offer job start visits if you're newer to the product or want guidance for your crew. So you can take the time to ask or answer those questions in the chat box or unmute yourselves if you have any additional comments to make. Otherwise, I'll pass this along to our Southeast rep, Ken Johnson, who will go over flooring installation challenges and moisture in concrete slabs.
Thank you, Michaela. So yeah, once again, this is Ken Johnson, and I am based out of the Southeast market. So you guys know I'm cover North Carolina down to Florida. So with Georgia and Alabama thrown in there. So let's talk a little bit about flooring installation challenges. Some of the things that we see, there's a lot of time and effort that's put into specifying projects and specifying products. And they take up a large part of our flooring, our budgets, our construction budgets that we see on these projects that we're working on. One of the things that's rarely ever considered is the cost of a flooring failure. And let's look here, some of these pictures you guys, we've been in the flooring business. We've seen a lot of these things, whether it be stained surfaces or alkaline buildup, as moisture vapor, moves through the slab. It causes the salts that are naturally occurring in the slab to be pushed forward to the top of the surface. And that attacks your adhesives and flooring and can cause failures. One of the other things we see is re-wetting, from our adhesives. Most of our adhesives nowadays are moisture-based. We've gone greener in an effort to drive ourselves into a more green society. We've gone with adhesives that are more moisture based. So there's moisture introduced to the environment, and we see a re-wetting. Moisture and these other environments can also cause mold and mildew, which will shut down a school or environment, faster than you can, turn your head. And we see a lot of these policies, challenges and everything like that, where we'll see a job stop because of mold and mildew. Moisture and this alkalinity can also cause flooring degradation, curling and cupping. Most times that's where we first start to see issues on a project, is where your top of your flooring starts to degrade. And that's when it becomes most noticeable. So we see, and we talked about typical cost of flooring failures. I mean, these numbers can vary per market, but it costs a lot of money to put flooring in, and it's never a fun process. What's less of a fun process is when we have to go back in and reinstall flooring because of a moisture failure. So a lot of times what you're looking at is demolition and cleaning of the floor you just put back in, replacing the floor coverings, lost business time, and then that look that you have to stand there and get from the customer when you've left them out of their facility for an additional period of time. So those are costs that typically aren't captured, but we see a ton of it in the flooring industry. So Michaela had mentioned a few of the products here. Here's some more specifications on it. So we've got our Kovara 95, which is gray in color, and it's a maximum RH of 95%, handles a pH of 12. Our standard roll sizes, in case you're curious, are 5 foot by 144 foot, so 720 square feet per roll on the 95 and the MBX. So one of the ways that you can tell them apart is the MBX is blue and the 95 is gray. So if you see it and you don't have your tags on it, it's easier to identify that way. So your Kovara MBX and the AB300 product both go to 99.5%. And the difference therein is the Kovara AB300 has a self-adhered backing. And there's a differentiator there. And that's really a very, very high-end product that we're talking about now. And David's going to get into some more of that, and we'll get into more as we go through the presentation. So some of the segments where we see that Kovara is really beneficial, and it has a lot to do with your turn times, is healthcare, education, industrial, retail places. Because Kovara is really dimensionally stable, it's resistant to rolling loads based on our installation systems. There aren't any primers required, so we can kind of get in and out and move a lot faster. And the support systems that we have from technical really make it a great product for these industries.
Great. Next, I would just pass this along to David Stoll, who'll go into, sorry, one more slide for Ken.
Yeah, that's okay, Michaela. I was waiting for you to flip over there. So, yeah, so one of the things Michaela talked about was planned flooring removal. So we'll see instances where maybe in a REIT tenant improvement market where a customer is taking over a space for a temporary amount of time, and they want to put a different flooring in than what's in there, or maybe the space currently has a concrete floor and they don't want to pay to install and then remove and then get it back to its normal, to its original state. We can bring our Kovara 95 product in because we're looking at just mainly a planned flooring removal. If moisture is present and we need to consider high moisture, then we can move to one of the other products. But for the most part, we're bringing in Kovara 95 in a situation like this, and we are laying it out on the floor in a loose lay operation and installing the product over top of it. When the client wants to move from the space, the product can be removed, the Kovara can be removed, and the slab is in its original condition. So a lot of times we'll see up north for seasonal displays and temporary structures and things that go in, we can be in, remodel a space, and be back out overnight.
Great. Thank you, Ken. Now I'll pass it along to David Stoll, who'll go into installing 95 and MBX as well as AB300. Thanks.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. So Kovara 95, as you see pictured here, it is basically a rolled moisture barrier that's unrolled onto the surface. But before we would do that, in this application, you can see the tape to the right where the Kovara stops. It has a dark blue tint to it. Most of the products, this one being more green, but you have a double-face tape system, a box grid, if you will. So this is an application. You can see the windows. It's an office building, most likely carpet tile going in here, a call center of sorts, cubicles, that sort of thing. So that would be considered light rolling loads. normal walking with regular shoe traffic and so forth. So a 5x5, 5 foot by 5 foot box grid would affix the Kovara 95 in this case on the surface. And the double face tape goes on the seams of the Kovara. That's 5 foot wide, and then it also goes the opposite direction in a 5x5 grid pattern. And that's what you see the installers doing here. And the box grid is also used for MBX because these are two products. Although they're similar in construction, the MBX goes to 99.5, and it's a more durable product for a higher RH, a higher moisture protection. So here you see a similar type of installation where we've got all the Kovara rolled out. The box grid's already been put down, say in a 2 foot by 6 inch box grid method, adhering the Kovara down for a more heavy rolling load application. This is where some static dissipated flooring was going into a large space. And you'll also see the blue tape on top of the Kovara, and that is used in conjunction with the double face tape underneath the seams or a head seam where the gentleman's working there going across the width of the Kovara. That would be considered a head seam. And notice a few feet, that's like 30 feet down past him, you would stagger these pieces depending on the length and the roll size that you're working with, as long as they're 30 feet apart on any head seams. And at this point, here you see the box grid. It's basically used, for heavy rolling loads, light rolling loads. And so we would have a consultation. And how do you determine that? Well, you would, call Michaela, Kenny, or myself. And then if there was, real specifics about the finished floor covering, we want to know what the finished floor covering is being installed, and then also what the use of the building or the application is for the room. And that's how we determine if it's a 5x5 or a 2x6 grid.
Great, thank you, David.
Yeah, we have pretty extensive instructions on how to do this too. It's a pretty easy process for an installer to pick up really quickly.
Excellent, which leads us right into smoothly and perfectly into our Kovara time-lapse video. So you'll see just how easy it is, just as David has stated. This is in a retail environment. They're installing MBX, and there is a voiceover. So if you're unable to hear, just let me know, but we should be good. It's a retail environment. They came in the evening and were open the very next day. So without further ado.
Every year, moisture causes over 1 billion in floor damage. On many flooring projects in buildings like hospitals, schools, and retail stores, moisture testing and installing moisture barrier is often an afterthought. A properly installed moisture barrier keeps excessive moisture from damaging the floor covering. Without a moisture barrier, the floor is susceptible to alkali staining, curling, cracking, and discoloration. Typical moisture barriers are liquid applied systems or sheet membranes like the Kovara rolled moisture barrier. Installing moisture mitigation with liquid epoxies is a slow and messy process requiring complicated surface preparation, typically followed by hours of waiting for different layers to cure. Kovara moisture barriers take half the time of epoxy-based solutions to install and requires no shot blasting. This time savings is ideal both for new installs as well as renovations. Kovara also eliminates the noise and fumes that building occupants could be exposed to if the epoxy was used. If you would like to save time and money on your next moisture mitigation project, please visit GCP Applied Technologies at gcpat.com.
Great. So I hope the takeaway from that is just how easy this product is to install. And as we stated earlier, our technical is available for a job start visits if crews are needing any sort of education in installing, but once you get the hang of it, it's a quick and easy product to install. There we go. So next slide. So we're going to go into our newest product that we introduced in 2018. We had a beta release in 2018, and since then it's been a very successful product for us. It's a bonded moisture barrier. So our others were loose laid, but we had the box grid system using the tapes to allow for heavy rolling loads. This product has GCP's advanced bond technology so that it adheres to the substrate. It's actually patented from our other business, from our waterproofing side of the business, and we applied it to this product. It's been tried and true and has worked very well in waterproofing. So obviously it's a great addition to our offering. We didn't get to go over what what is Kovara. So just to get into that quickly about all of the products, what Kovara is dimensionally stable and has lay flat ability and is a suppression system for all grades of concrete. But it's laminated layers. These laminated layers consist of a polymeric mineral top coating. So you want to think of our product as rough side up, just like fuzzy side up for carpet. Our product is the rough side, the sandpaper side is up. Then you got the internal fiberglass mat and then polyethylene layers. So it protects against alkalinity as well as moisture. So for a product, no primer is required, minimal floor prep. It is approved for use with most floor coverings. This goes for every single one of the products, not just AB300. So every product except for cork and mechanically fastened hardwood. And then again, we have the pressure sensitive adhesive, which is a patent from GCP's waterproofing side of the business. And then we have our split release liner for quick peel and stick application. You would butterfly install this product in, and in the next illustration, you'll see a contractor or installer installing this product, and David will go into a little bit more detail about installing AB300.
Hey, Michaela.
Yep.
You want to open it up for any questions or anything? Dan was mentioning maybe we'll stop at maybe a midway point or
Sure.
at some point and see if anybody had any questions from before.
Yep, sounds good. So I'm just going to escape out of here. If anyone would like to unmute themselves and ask any questions. I'll check the chat box. Or raise your hand if you'd like. Okay, we'll just wait, I guess, until the end. If you have any questions, we'll address then. All right. Let's see. So just pass this along to David to go over the installation of AB300.
Yes, thank you, Michaela. So one of the things for all the products, we want a smooth, flat, clean surface. Basically the same requirements in layman's terms that the floor covering, if you were just installing and selling the floor covering to the application to the building owner, you would prep the floor, you would scrape, sweep, patch as necessary, remove any contaminants, existing adhesives. And that's what you see here on this concrete slab. And that goes through all our products. So that usually comes up. How do we prepare the slab? And it's to a standard that the industry used called ASTM F710. And that's pretty much what we adhere to. AB300 is unique because you see we have the double face tape along in the middle there heading towards the doorway that has a white paper film on it. That's peeled off. But what he's doing right now is he's got that piece in place, and he's what we call a butterfly method. We fold it back. The release liner is split in the middle of the 5-foot width product, and you peel off the release liner and then carefully place it onto the slab, and it will grab, and it will, you want it to be where you want it to sit and be stuck to the floor because the self-adhesive system will be very difficult you won't be able to move it. It bonds almost instantly, and then you would roll this with a 100-pound roller, pull back the other side, pull off the other release liner on the other half of the product and place it in place. And then you would work the seams, peeling off the white paper film of the double-face tape. So it's a very fast system. This is used primarily for certain flooring products that we would qualify, things like VCT, things that, you know, maybe are a little bit less dimensional stable, or in a hospital application where you have heavy rolling loads and Hill-Ron beds, you know, going down a hospital area. And we do quite a bit in the healthcare arena, especially including hospitals and things of that nature. Sometimes this question is asked, why are they running the Kovara across the width of the hallway? Well, some of these hallways, depending on, you know, they're doing it in stages. Sometimes that's usually the case. And so, you know, the installers have a section of the floor, you know, the 7th floor of the building or whatever. And this makes it easier to transition and start and stop, you know, as you're doing demo and prep, and then laying the Kovara moisture barrier, and then installing your flooring, and then transferring all that down the assembly line type process in a hallway such as a hospital. So typically, and it's also kind of hard to get, you know, 80, 90 feet, 100 feet, if you will, you know, and then have one seam going down the center of the hallway and not have that shift on you too much. So typically it's done across the width, but it can be done in the length. But this is specifically product for heavy rolling loads.
Excellent. Thank you, David. We'll just pass the next portion, competitor comparison versus our product, other moisture mitigation solutions out in the market, and what you may use and how we compare to them. Here's Ken.
So one of the things I wanted to mention here, and we can kind of delve through this slide a little bit, is some of the different medias that are used. We see other sheet membranes that are in the marketplace. With those sheet membranes, you know, there's primers that are needed. They're not approved for rolling loads. They don't do well with static loads. When you contrast that against Kovara, we are approved for installations of heavy rolling loads. There's no primer necessary with our product. And static load tests and heavy rolling loads are definitely in the AB300 category, you know, with that AB300 product. In hospital environments, you know, one of the things that really gets missed when we talk about heavy rolling loads, sometimes foot traffic can cause challenges when it comes to flooring products. Moving, when we see issues with peeling or shear strength of adhesives, a lot of times that's not considered, and people don't consider heavy rolling loads or foot traffic in a heavy rolling load category, but I think it's something that's important to address. One of the other methods that we see out there, a lot of people are using high moisture adhesives to treat moisture. We see that these don't work necessarily with rolling loads. Most products, if you look at them, there's verbiage on the TDS sheets or on the buckets themselves that they're not approved as moisture mitigation. David mentioned ASTM F710 earlier. I believe there's a section in ASTM F710 where it says that in the absence of an approved underslab barrier, or in the absence of a verifiable underslab barrier, then moisture mitigation must be addressed. A lot of times we also see that high moisture adhesives don't protect finished flooring. They offer a bond, and outside of that, they're still open to your high pH, so your salts and other moisture can still get through to the finished flooring. Most finished flooring has a tolerance as well, not just the adhesive. So what you see with the Kovara products is that they block that moisture and alkalinity from moving through and attacking the finished flooring. This is an approved moisture mitigation system, and it's also for old and new slabs. So this can be used in a new slab environment. One of the other ways that I thought was kind of a neat way to do it is if you have maybe in an older project where they're doing trenching, we go back in and a trench is dug out to put in new piping or anything like that, is that you can use the product over top of that. And because most of the time when they go through and dig a trench, they've already dug down through the verifiable moisture barrier between the slab and the earth. And now that we can use this product over top of it to solve that challenge. One of the other products that we see out in the marketplace are moisture vapor reducers. Most moisture vapor reducers will require some type of subfloor profiling, which can be costly, shut down for another additional day. They don't necessarily offer protection for the flooring because they're just reducing the RH that's there. Inconsistent applications. I would want to refer, if you guys have ever done maybe your own fertilizing of your yard, and you've gone out there and you've got areas where if you've sprayed your yard or run your spreader over top of your yard, and you've got areas where it's heavily green in some areas and yellow in others. A lot of times these spray and roll-on methods are difficult to gauge the correct thickness. So that we run into inconsistent applications out there in the marketplace, and that can cause challenges with these moisture vapor reducers. One of the things about Kovara is it's always consistent all the time. It's consistent right off the roll. You don't have to worry about those challenges. You'll never have to profile the concrete to get a bond. We just, like David mentioned, we ask for clean, flat, dry. And there's no cure time issues with Kovara. There's no cure time challenges, and which causes fewer delays that we see on our projects, and we're able to get in and out on a tighter timeline. So when we compare Kovara towards epoxy, it is definitely faster. It's considerably faster. We find a lot of times we're even several days faster. There's no shot blasting, no need for on-site equipment to be set up, not setting up, generators out in the parking lot, special wiring requirements, no self-levelers are needed. We do ask that any subfloor prep that's done under Kovara be done with high moisture products, whether it be a patch or a high moisture self level if the floor is actually taken care of beforehand. But there's really no need, as in with epoxy, you're looking at shot blasting, laying the epoxy, putting your self leveler down, and that can be multiple days of curing before you can come back and put a floor over top of that. With Kovara, you've got a fast, easy sheet installation, even faster now with AB300. And this product can also be installed over existing flooring, provided that it is well bonded.
Great. Thank you so much, Ken and David. Thank you all for attending and taking the time out of your day to listen to this presentation about Kovara. Hopefully there were some takeaways and value added, knowing that this is accessible and available to you. And hopefully you can make Kovara an option. It can save you time and money. And we have those three different products. Those three different products we also have samples of. These are all of our email addresses: Ken Johnson's email, my email, and David's email. If you'd like samples, we do have them for all three products, 95 MBX and AB300. They come in a paper size and with brochures and marketing information. So if you'd like, email us. We will provide the best ship to address, and those will go out in just a couple of days. So don't hesitate to reach out for samples and the quantity that you need. So now we'll just open up the chat box, see if there's any questions. You can unmute yourselves and ask any questions that you have about Kovara, about the technical team, about sales reps, anything that came up during this presentation.
Yeah, and Michaela, Dan here. Just wanted to, again, thank everybody for joining us today. Couple key takeaways that I see. Obviously, as we look in this construction environment that we're in, our windows to get things done, being in the flooring space, gets condensed. And when we run into a situation, we get this moisture. What I like about this, you can see that's just a limited number of SKUs. And with that, you can get a lot of things quickly answered as it relates to getting that space back into some finished flooring goods on top of it. The video that you saw there, I've been part of some testing in the past. I've seen the product go down. I've been on job sites with these guys up in the Boston market. The ease of installation, I can't stress it. If you do the pencil and paper and you're trying to get it in where trying to understand the cost of things, you get to see where there's a benefit with this particular product and that ease of installation. For those of you that haven't been able to get on the GCP website yet, please do. It's intuitive. It's great looking. A lot of information is right there. It's all spelled out. You think about finished goods, what can be put down on it. There's a lengthy list of things that can go on top of this product. And when there's a question, the team that you have here in front of you are right there to answer all of them that you've got. And then I got a chance to tour the facility up in Cambridge, just north of Boston by about a mile or so. And I can't stress enough that looking at the product selections, just three things that were kind of talked about today: the 95, the MBX, and the AB300. But the parent company, it's a juggernaut. You go through the presentation, you know the science behind it, the people, the talent, the skill set that they've got. I mean, they can identify almost any rock anywhere in the world, it seems like, that could be in a concrete mix. So a lot of that information from that concrete world really kind of transcends into the understanding and the makeup of this particular product. And we've had great success with it. And so for me, their on-site support, website, or excuse me, just technical support here at Haynes. Obviously, local stock. We've got a stock. We've got a couple locations that we keep the material at, and then as from a job site standpoint, obviously we get it shipped to your retail front or wherever we need to get it to. And slowly, again, I speak a little bit because I'm up here in the Northeast. We're very slow to change. So the 95 and the MBX has been a staple. The AB300, people are very hesitant because it was new, and that's just kind of the way things are. And then you get a couple key players that started using it, and then suddenly you get tremendous feedback about why didn't I use this sooner. So we've seen a little bit of a shift from that standpoint, just because again that ease of installation. But we've seen that office space with kind of COVID, everybody working from home. We see a quick changeover into that residential market, and some of these changeovers happen quick, and they need something to go in on top of it, and the time is of essence. And this is a product that actually get that window and that space back into that the finished good department. So just on my front, I know there may be some questions here. I'll kind of sign off and say thanks for everybody joining us. Ken, David, sorry I forgot you on the first pass. Chris and Michaela, and behalf of the Haynes team, we're here for you. We're ready. Whatever you need, just give us a buzz, and we'll do everything we can to get you the product. And again, so I'll sign off here at this point, but thank you.
Great. Thank you, Dan. Thank you so much for sharing all of that and speaking us up as a company. I think, we have a lot to offer, and we are accessible and available if you have any questions. I did put our email addresses again in the chat box, so feel free to send us any questions. Send your addresses if you'd like samples. I don't see any other questions. So with that said, we'll end right here, and thank you all so much again for your joining us and for participating in this webinar. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you all.
Take care.
Thank you.